The weight of dishonesty, brutality, and wrongdoing eventually becomes too great to overlook. Even if a narcissist feels that they can avoid the consequences of their acts, justice, whether it be natural or divine, always finds a way to catch up with them. You are not alone if you have ever questioned whether the narcissist who has harmed, exploited, and manipulated others would ever truly receive justice. The same question is frequently asked by those who have been victims of narcissistic abuse. Will they ever face consequences? You're in the right place if you've been searching for evidence that their day of reckoning is drawing near. Everything is visible to God. No act of cruelty is overlooked, no deception is concealed indefinitely, and no soul can permanently avoid the repercussions of its own deeds. Justice is already operating behind the scenes in ways that are not always readily apparent, even when it appears that the narcissist is prospering, going on guilt-free, attracting new victims, and carrying on with their destructive behaviors. In its own time, the process of divine judgment takes place, frequently in unexpected but indisputable ways. We will examine the potent indicators that God's punishment on the narcissist is imminent in today's video. While some of these indicators could be obvious to you right now, others might take some time to manifest. However, one thing is for sure, everyone is accountable, regardless of how cunning or manipulative they may be. The narcissist will have to confront the repercussions of their own decisions when the weight of their deeds finally catches up with them. I urge you to watch this video through to the conclusion because what we are going to learn could fundamentally change how you perceive your circumstances. As you proceed on your personal healing path, being aware of these indicators can help you find clarity, serenity, and even closure. Please remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this message with anybody you think would benefit from it if you find this content useful. More people will have the courage to rebel and take back their power as awareness grows. Let's explore these potent discoveries now. The disintegration of the meticulously crafted mask a narcissist has worn for so long is one of the most obvious and unmistakable indicators that judgment is imminent. Narcissists rely on deceit to survive. They deceive everyone around them into thinking they are strong, prosperous, and in charge. They thrive on being admired, keeping up a perfect appearance, and persuading others that they are invincible. However, this illusion starts to show fractures when divine justice is applied. Even those who formerly respected them begin to doubt their actions. Suddenly, the lies that were once believable don't stack up. Their ability to influence people by charm starts to wane. Truth begins to seep through, despite their best efforts to maintain their false persona. Seems as though an invisible force is removing their disguise and making them confront their true selves. They might initially attempt to hide the harm by intensifying their deceptions and making an even greater effort to persuade people that they are still in charge. However, their deceit becomes more apparent the more they strive. It is not a coincidence that their phony identity is coming to light. Rather, it is the start of their demise. They are now harmed by the same deceptions and strategies that used to give them authority and control. They start to awaken the individuals they deceived. It becomes increasingly difficult for the narcissist to keep control over other people, and their capacity to take advantage of circumstances begins to ebb and flow like sand. When they start to lose control of their own story, that is another clear indication that judgment is imminent. The ability of a narcissist to influence how other people see them is at the heart of their power. To keep their power, they rely on gaslighting, deceit, and secrecy. They distort reality so that they always seem to be the victim or the hero, rewrite history to fit their demands, and blame others for their flaws. However, their own words end up being their downfall when divine justice begins to act against them. They begin to contradict each other with the stories they have recounted so often. When they start comparing notes, the people they persuaded realize something is off. When examined closely, what appeared to be an impenetrable illusion starts to fall apart. This change frequently occurs gradually at first, with small cracks showing in the foundation of their meticulously built world and whispers of doubt circulating through their social group. However, the impact becomes indisputable over time. People who used to be their staunchest supporters start to turn away. Their trusted associates begin to doubt their intentions. Their normal techniques no longer work on the people they used to be able to manage with ease. Even their most loyal supporters start to perceive them differently. This is not merely chance. Rather, supernatural intervention is at play, guaranteeing that the narcissist will be unable to avoid the repercussions of their own behavior. They can never completely escape the reality, no matter how hard they try. The narcissist is left on their own when the time comes for them to face the consequences, since fewer and fewer people are prepared to trust their lies. They are forced to confront the truth of their own demise as the empire they established through deceit crumbles. Then comes the inevitable material and financial collapse, which many narcissists fail to anticipate. For them, social standing, riches, and power are all parts of who they are, not just something they own. Narcissists base their sense of value on their possessions, their level of influence, and the number of people they can impress with their material achievement. They feel superior to others because of their belongings, and they can control others' finances. For them, money is more than simply a tool. It is a source of security and evidence that they are superior to everyone else in terms of intelligence and ability. All of this, however, starts to fall away when divine judgment is triggered. Losses can be caused by a variety of things, including failed enterprises, unexpected financial difficulties, legal issues, or even careless choices that backfire. They begin to struggle to keep up the appearance of prosperity as money that once appeared to flow readily starts to evaporate. They lose the investments they relied on. Their ability to exert financial control waned. When they start to struggle, the individuals who were once amazed by their wealth start to show pity or indifference instead of adoration. Their worst burden now is what used to be their greatest source of pride. They attempt valiantly to cling to their old ways as their painstakingly constructed empire implodes, but no amount of deceit or deception can prevent the inevitable. The more they struggle to stay in control, the quicker they will fail. This collapse is not coincidental. Rather, it is a direct result of their conceit, avarice, and abuse of others. For years, they thought they were untouchable, that their authority was unassailable, and that they could use and dump individuals without facing any repercussions. However, divine justice never forgets. Everything they clung to is taken away when the time comes, leaving them naked and defenseless. They are forced to confront what they have always feared most, the truth of their own emptiness, without resources, without power, and without the capacity to impress others. However, criticism doesn't end with their financial failure. Their relationships suffer yet another catastrophic blow. Have you ever observed the lengthy history of strained relationships left by narcissists? They switch between people, treating them like nothing more than instruments to be used for their own ends. Because they think their victims can never really get away from them, they live on control. However, those they previously tormented start to recover when heavenly justice intervenes. People they believed were irreparably damaged begin to reconstruct their lives. People they denigrated, controlled, and threw away come back stronger than before. Their previous victims gradually discover new self-assurance, success, and even love. As the individuals they formerly controlled flourish without them, the narcissist observes. What they thought would be irreversible harm turns out to be transient injuries that go away with time. And more deeply than anything else, they realize that the people they formerly ruled no longer require them. For a narcissist, this is among the worst and most severe types of judgment. They thought they had the ability to destroy lives, to leave individuals broken and without hope. However, they are compelled to see their accomplishment rather than the suffering of their victims. Suddenly, they are the ones left behind when the tables are turned. Their traditional strategies are no longer effective. No longer influenced by their trickery, those who previously feared them now look back with disinterest. The narcissist's limited emotional strength is lost, and all that remains is the terrible truth that their control was never as powerful as they believed. This change is not merely karma, rather it is the manifestation of divine justice. Once believing they had control over the destiny of others, the narcissist now feels helpless. And even as they descend deeper into annoyance and bitterness, their victims go on, demonstrating that recovery, development, and liberation are always achievable. A narcissist's growing loneliness is another telltale indication that judgment is encroaching on them. Narcissists are not self-sufficient. Instead, they thrive on the enthusiasm, focus, and awe of others. To justify their phony selves, they require an audience. They start to wither in the absence of those who might affirm their lies, praise them, or bolster their sense of superiority. Having enablers, people who accept their claims, condone their actions, and give them constant attention, is essential to their very survival. However, this supply runs out when divine justice is at work. The modifications may appear minor at first. Their typical appeal begins to fade. Former admirers start to pick up on discrepancies and instances where the narcissist's facade falters. One of their trusted friends doesn't pick up the phone. A family member who has always stood up for them abruptly withdraws. They lose their once loyal supporters who no longer want to participate in their games. The narcissist, who once thrived on being the center of attention, now finds themselves in a new position, alone, as their social circle gradually gets smaller. Losing friends and relationships is not the only aspect of this isolation. There is more to it than that. It is a sense of spiritual loneliness, of being deserted not just by other people but also by the same force that formerly kept them going. They begin to experience an inexplicable sense of disconnection, loss, and emptiness. They are forced to confront themselves and don't like what they see when they don't have somebody to reflect their false image back to them. They may try to manipulate their way back into people's life by sending messages, making promises, or playing the victim in a desperate attempt to recover their control, but the answers they once depended on are no longer available. These days, people see right through them, and they are greeted with rejection, silence, or even scorn rather than pity or admiration. They spiral out of control due to their increasing loneliness. Without attention, a narcissist dries out and weakens daily, much like a plant without water. Frustrated, they could snap, accusing everyone but themselves of being to blame for their situation. Through threats, tantrums, or frantic attempts to guilt-trip people who abandon them, they can fabricate catastrophic circumstances merely to get a response. However, the outcome remains the same regardless of their efforts. The narcissist finds themselves trapped in the prison they created, while the individuals they formerly dominated have moved on. Their emotional and mental state completely collapsing is the last and most terrifying indication of their judgment. Narcissists function under the delusion that they are unbeatable throughout the most of their lives. They think they are always ahead of the game and in control. But this illusion starts to fall apart when their judgment comes. Once securely contained beneath their mask, their emotions begin to erupt in ways they are no longer able to control. As they become aware that they have no control over other people, anxiety begins to set in. They become wary of everyone around them as paranoia sets in. They begin to question whether others are conspiring against them, revealing their deceptions, or covertly reveling in their defeat. As the walls press in, they grow restless, unable to unwind, and always on edge. as they realize that the life they created was never real, that their relationships, success, and even their perception of themselves were all founded on deceit. Depression sets in. Desperation takes over. They could use allegations, lies, or attempts to undermine others in an attempt to exact revenge on people they believe have wronged them. However, every action they do simply makes matters worse. They push others farther away rather than regaining control because people see them for who they are. Certain narcissists exhibit recklessness, making snap judgments that ultimately result in their own demise. Others drown in their own sorrow, unable to realize that they have lost everything, and descend into self-pity. This is the last phase of their demise, the point at which they must dwell in the ruins of their own decisions. They are now confronted with the repercussions of their conduct, whether they like it or not. All they have left is the weight of their own emptiness, since the very things they formerly depended on, power, control, and admiration, are gone. And being left alone with their true selves is the worst punishment a narcissist can receive. Recognize that you are seeing divine justice at action if you are seeing these signs materialize. Once untouchable, always one step ahead, and impervious to consequences, the narcissist is now being forced to confront the truth about their own behavior. Their carefully regulated environment is starting to fall apart. There is nothing they can do to stop what previously gave them authority and recognition from slipping away from them. Observing it might be challenging, particularly if you have been harmed by them. You might experience a range of feelings such as relief, approval, or even a sense that justice is being done at last. Simultaneously, you may experience the want to intervene, either due to ingrained caregiving behaviors or even to make sense of the situation. But it's crucial to keep in mind that you shouldn't bear the burden of their failure. Helping them, softening their landing, or explaining to them why things are going apart is not your job. Sometimes letting people feel the full consequences of their decisions is how the universe puts things back in balance and makes things right. Turn your attention inward rather than outward. Now is the moment for you to recover your serenity, grow, and heal. You can now employ the energy that the narcissist once consumed for your own health. Let their demise serve as a reminder that justice operates in ways we can always rely on, even if we don't always comprehend them. Let this serve as confirmation for you if you ever questioned whether their behavior will eventually catch up with them. Those who base their life on lies will eventually see everything fall apart, since the truth always comes to light. I appreciate you being a part of this journey, listening, and being here. Please share your opinions in the comments section below if this message struck a chord with you. Your stories, observations, and experiences contribute to the creation of a space where people can find strength and understanding. Additionally, please remember to like, share, and subscribe if you find this article useful. We may advance in freedom, help one another, and keep discovering the truth if we band together. Till the next time, remember that you are not under their control and remain strong and empowered.